All right, let's get right into it. If you're running an aesthetic practice, you know the grind. You're always looking for ways to build a more stable, more predictable, and yeah, more profitable business. Well, you're in the right place. We're about to break down a blueprint for turning those one-time clients into people who are with you for the long haul. So let's start with the big idea, the core concept here. The goal isn't just to get patients to come back. No, it's about making their return to you an automatic, unconscious part of their life. We want to get away from them having to decide to come back and into a world where they just do. It becomes a habit. So what's the big problem we're really trying to solve? Well, I call it the transaction trap. You see, most practices treat aesthetic medicine like it's episodic. A patient only comes in when they feel like they need something. And honestly, that model is fundamentally flawed. And this slide really lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the old way. Your revenue is all over the place, it's unpredictable, there's high friction because every single visit requires a brand new decision from your patient, and that just leads to weaker relationships. But look over on the right. When you shift to habitual care, you get stable, predictable revenue. You remove all that decision friction, and what you build is incredibly strong loyalty. It's a total game changer for your business. Okay, so we've identified the problem. Now for the fun part. Let's start building the solution. The key here isn't just, better marketing to get them back in the door. It's about fundamentally redesigning the entire patient experience so that retention becomes automatic. So what's the secret sauce? You anchor your treatments to patterns that are already built into your patients' lives. Think about it. Instead of just a random appointment, it becomes their quarterly refresh or their seasonal reset. You're tying your services to the changing of the seasons, so the visit feels natural, it feels expected. It's just part of their routine. And hey, the data speaks for itself. Just look at the massive difference here. Practices that use a standard per-treatment booking model, they see a retention rate around 52%. But the ones that switch to a subscription model, like that seasonal reset idea, see that number leap to an incredible 89%. That just proves the immense power of taking those individual decision points off the table. Okay, so theory is great, but let's get practical. Let's dive into the specific, actionable things you can actually use to engineer this kind of habitual behavior. These are the tools for your loyalty toolkit. Let's start with this number right here, 3.2 times. What on earth does that represent? Well, that's the increase in show rates for patients who pre-schedule their next appointment while they're still in your office right there at checkout. It's such a simple, little, micro commitment, but it has a massive impact because you're locking in that future behavior when their motivation is at its absolute peak. Now, this is so crucial. The experience can't end the second the patient walks out. This timeline shows a structured communication system that's designed to get rid of those natural exit points where people just drift away. You're sending an aftercare video on day 1, a personal check-in on day 3, and a pre-booking reminder way out on day 75. You're constantly, consistently guiding them and making that next step feel totally seamless. Okay, this tactic here is one of my absolute favorites. You make the absence visible. So imagine this. You send your patient their before and after photos about 60 days after their treatment. The subject line? Remember this transformation? Let's maintain it. The results are just phenomenal. A 73% open rate and an absolutely astounding 41% booking rate directly from that one email. You're powerfully reminding them of the value you deliver. So let's take this whole strategy up a level. We're moving beyond just simple actions and into some deeper psychology. Because the ultimate goal here is to make your practice a core part of your patient's identity, not just some service they use every now and then. And how do you actually do that? It's all in the small, deliberate details. Consistent, personal communication, high-quality branded take-home materials, and maybe most importantly, powerful language. When you shift from calling them a patient to calling them a member, or even a friend, you completely transform their perception. They're not a customer anymore. They're part of an exclusive community. And look, this isn't just some fluffy marketing theory. It's grounded in actual science. Charles Duhigg's research on what's called the habit loop shows us that every automatic behavior has 3 parts. There's a trigger that kicks off the action, a routine, which is the action itself, and then a reward that tells your brain, hey, this whole loop is worth remembering. And this right here perfectly illustrates your role. You are the architect of this loop for your patients. The trigger, that's your encouraging reminder. The routine, that's the effortless, frictionless booking and visit experience you create. And the reward? Well, that's a mix of their amazing visible results and that VIP status they feel from being a part of your practice. So, how do we bring all of this together and make it real? Let's talk about the single most powerful first step you can take to put this entire system into action in your practice, like starting today. It all comes down to this. Launch a quarterly membership program. You package all these benefits together: priority booking, exclusive access to treatments, automatic scheduling, and a nice little cost savings of, say, 15%. But here's the most important part. You position it not as buying a package, but as joining our aesthetic family. You're selling belonging, not just a service. And that brings us to our final thought. I really want you to take a moment and reflect on this question. Right now, is your practice just surviving on a series of independent, high-friction decisions from your patients? Or are you actively designing a lifetime habit? Because the answer to that question will absolutely determine the future of your practice.